Welcome
to Gameography,
the podcast about games
and the people who make them.
This is Devin.
And that is Tim.
And welcome
back to the show.
Is that really what we're going to use? Are we really going to... Is that really the intro to this?
I don't know. How bad was that really?
I'll fix it in post.
I don't believe that at all.
I'll cut out the bad parts in post.
Just cut all of it out.
Welcome to what the fans are affectionately labeling GOG.
Yeah, just go to GOG.com. Everyone knows that that's our website.
Yeah, everyone knows that's our URL. I think it's a good name.
Should we just start over?
I think this is great.
Today we're talking about The Legend of Zelda, as you may have guessed from that. No. The Legend of Zelda.
Inventor of the bullet hell genre.
Released in 1996.
86.
Oh, 86. Sorry.
86.
96. No,
not a 90s
1996, no.
96 was when I was released.
Yeah. Legend of Zelda's older than you.
Believe it or not.
It's older than all of us. The Hyrule Fantasy. You know about this? In Japan, the title is, like on the cover art, it's the Hyrule Fantasy in like kind of small text, and then below that, it's like The Legend of Zelda in big text.
Oh,
and
wow.
they were going to apparently like that was like going to be the name of the series.
Wow.
Not like The Legend of Zelda was just like the name of the first game.
Wow. I mean,
pretty crazy.
That kind of makes more sense.
But it's such a worse name.
Like the Hyrule, yeah, it is. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, Legend of Zelda is obviously a great name, but it's. Like it's a famously confusing title, and also it's.
But I feel like that's like part of like what makes it great. It's like you'd be talking to people and be like, "What? Like, no, that's not Zelda. That's Link. You idiot! Like, you're not a real gamer."
I've never understood the legend part,
because it's like you're enacting like the Legend of Zelda is the story that's being told that you're watching unfold.
Okay, well, why is it the Legend of Zelda?
Because she has
the Legend of Link. She
has the power to save the land of Hyrule.
Is that in this?
I believe so. Yeah. It's like so. Yeah, it's literally like the same. It's like borderline the same story as Mario.
I did notice. I noticed that at the end.
Yeah,
it really solidified for me.
This is the text that is in like the game when you like don't press start at the title screen. Mm-hmm. It says The Legend of Zelda many years ago.
Wait. Actually, let's do this correctly.
Okay. Many years ago, Prince Darkness Ganon stole one of the Triforce with power. Princess Zelda had one of the Triforce with wisdom. She divided it into 8 units to hide it from Ganon before she was captured. Go find the 8 units, Link, to save her. There's more story in the manual itself, too.
That gave me chills.
That horrible translation. It's supposed to be like the Triforce of power. And I read, so I referenced it in the last episode with Mario 2, but there's a website called Legends of Localization, where it's like a guy comparing like the Japanese version of these games versus the American versions. I mean, obviously that last bit was like bad translation, but he said that the like the story that's in the manual itself is like a good translation.
Oh, okay. I should have read that.
A long time ago, the world was in an age of chaos. Cut it, and it is so hard to read because look at this. It's like they put this like image behind the text, and
that is horrible.
There's no contrast. In the midst of the chaos in a little kingdom in the land of Hyrule, a legend was being handed down from generation to generation. The legend of the Triforce, golden triangles possessing mystical powers. One day, an evil army attacked this peaceful little kingdom and stole the Triforce of Power. This army was led by Ganon, the powerful Prince of Darkness, who sought to plunge the world into fear and darkness under his rule. Fearing his wicked rule, Zelda, the princess of this kingdom, split up the Triforce of Wisdom into 8 fragments and hid them throughout the realm to save the last remaining Triforce from the clutches of the evil Ganon. At the same time, she commanded her most trustworthy nursemaid, Impa, to secretly escape into the land and go find a man with enough courage to destroy the evil Ganon. Upon hearing this, Ganon grew angry, imprisoned the princess, and sent out a party in search of Impa. So, Zelda hid the Triforce behind a bunch I'm a little confused there.
What an impressive feat to do that.
Braving forests and mountains, Impa fled for her life from her pursuers. As she reached the very limit of her energy, she found herself surrounded by Ganon's evil henchmen. Cornered! That's a whole sentence. What could she do? But wait, all was not lost. A young lad appeared. He skillfully drove off Ganon's henchmen and saved Impa from a fate worse than death. His name was Link. During his travels, he had come across Impa and Ganon's henchmen. Impa told Link the whole story of the Princess Zelda and the evil Ganon. Burning with a sense of justice, Link resolved to save Zelda, but Ganon was a powerful opponent. He held the Triforce of Power, and so, in order to fight off Ganon, Link had to bring the scattered 8 fragments of the Triforce of Wisdom together to rebuild the mystical triangle. If he couldn't do this, there would be no chance Link could fight his way into Death Mountain, where Ganon something lived, maybe? Hid? I don't know. Can Link really destroy Ganon and save Princess Zelda? Only your skill can answer this question.
Only the Switch rewind function can answer this question.
Good luck. Use your Triforce wisely. Or use the Triforce wisely.
Use your triangle wisely. I like that they just refer to it as a triangle. It's also, I have a lot of thoughts about it. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's a lot to have happened before you even start the game up.
Yeah, there's no indication of Impa or anything in the game.
Yeah, that's like...
It's like pretty insane.
Like,
but...
I don't know. That sounds like the story to Mario 2, like the upcoming episode.
And I think this was very much like planned. I think they like very much just expected people to read the manual, like because there's like a bunch of other like there's so many like hints and like what all the items do and stuff. Mm-hmm. Like the game does not explain it.
Yeah, it really throws you in blind. I had to imagine if I had bought this game and I had the box and the little manual in there, it's like I would be turning that manual very quick because you just get dumped right in there, and it's just like,
what? Yeah, and it's like so unlike any other game at the time. I think in the like in the American version at least, like what I had as a kid, I remember there was like a whole like map, like a foldable map that also came with it.
Wow.
Which was like really cool. And I feel like I would just like look at that and not even play the game.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. The whole time I was playing, I just pictured myself as a little kid in the 80s trying to play this game, and I mean, as a arguably fully grown adult now, it borderline made me cry on multiple occasions.
Yeah. So that is the story. I feel like this was like rumor for a long time or something, or I don't know when this came out, but Zelda is named after Zelda Fitzgerald.
Oh, wow.
That is canon.
That's canon. Wow.
I think this is Miyamoto talking. It's either Miyamoto or Tezuka. They said they wanted a good name for the female character, and then we wanted something eternal, timeless. I was talking with a lot of writers and the staff, and the idea came from the American author F. Scott Fitzgerald's wife, who was named Zelda. She was a famous woman who was kind of strong, so we decided to go with her name.
Kind of strong. I mean, I don't really know anything about Zelda Fitzgerald outside of the movie Midnight in Paris, where she's a character. And if that's any indication of what she's like as a person, it's an interesting choice of someone to like.
I don't remember her in that movie.
Yeah, I think she's played by like a blonde actress that's kind of borderline famous.
Wow. That really narrows it down.
That's funny. I guess those are the only two.
I think there's
examples of the name Zelda I've ever.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they probably just like the name.
Yeah.
Like, because it's like pretty unique and
it does sound
interesting. Yeah,
it sounds like a game or a name that would be in Legend of Zelda.
Oh, Zelda?
Yeah.
We have this game called Legend of Zelda. What should we name the character?
I mean, we're looking for a name that really screams Zelda.
Actually, let me ask you this. Had you played this game before this?
I had not. I honestly think I had maybe...
Or like, yeah, what was your exposure to it, I guess?
So this is, an interesting thing about this podcast, Evan, is we've really never explained at all who we are.
I know.
The poor souls listening to this have no concept of who we are as people.
Yeah.
To give a little, I guess, like video game history, this is a video game podcast. I, growing up, never played. I started at the Nintendo 64. Mm-hmm. That's what my dad had when I was a little young lad.
I think we talked about maybe a little bit in the very first episode, but I can't remember what we said.
Yeah, but Devin started with the classics.
Yeah.
And so that's you'll see in coming episodes that I think defines exactly the difference in our taste.
I don't know about that.
Kind of.
There's other things.
There's plenty of other ways we're different. But I mean, I've never played a real NES outside of like 1 to 2 times. I think I've never
where did you play it?
I remember when I was
did you have a friend that had it?
Okay. When I was a preteen, I had a friend named Brandon who had Duck Hunt, and I played that once. So that was cool.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then I'm sure I played it in your basement at some point in high school or something.
Maybe, but no, I don't even. I don't think we had it anymore by then.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, because we played the Super Nintendo.
Yeah,
so
we definitely had the Super Nintendo.
That might be the only one time I ever held an NES controller in my hand. But I had never really played this game. I think I had played,
But you didn't hold an NES controller for Duck Hunt because you used the little gun.
So
you just never
point.
have.
That's an astute observation, Devin. Still, to this day.
I remember I had Duck Hunt, but I think we didn't have the gun somehow. Or like we had lost. I don't know what. So I just never played it.
Classic.
But and then there was a similar thing for the Super Nintendo called the Super Scope, and it was like this crate. It was like this long. It's like the length of a torso. The length of a long torso, and it was it looked like in a video game. If you were playing like a video game, it'd be like the missile launcher.
Okay.
It's like a big tube, and then there was like an eyepiece. I think that you could put up to your eye. I don't know why you would use that.
Sounds cool.
But I don't remember it ever working. There was something where like we always had it and it looked cool, but I don't remember ever using it.
You couldn't just play like Super Mario with
just
that?
Shoot to jump.
But yeah, so this was this was my first experience with this game, and I'll say this is the first time I have ever played a pre-64 game that absolutely like hooked me.
Wow. That's crazy. Okay, wow.
Like Mario. I mean, Mario was fun when we played it last episode, but it's like I was kind of just chugging through it at a certain point. Mm-hmm. It's like the appeal of that game in particular just is kind of lost on me after the novelty. But this, I mean, I was hooked in it the exact same way I would be with like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Okay, that's funny that you say that because I was playing it like specifically like the first half, I would say. Which that was like the more enjoyable half for me.
Yes, absolutely.
I also was like, this is giving me the same like vibes as Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I have some more thoughts on that, but it's Breath of the Wild in particular is like that's just this game.
Yeah,
but it's like they finally updated.
Yeah, they got it where it was not as it's not as like cryptic and frustrating, but it's still able to give you that like sense of just like I don't know what's going on here, and I'm just gonna like go in this direction and see what happens.
Yeah,
that like I feel like they both have that similar like sense of exploration that a lot of other games, like even when they're trying to do that, don't have.
Yeah. I mean, this is literally an open world game.
Yeah,
this is like
there was like the where that really like hit me, where like the sense of like this is not different from like a modern open world game even was like I messaged you that like in all caps, like there's fast travel in this game. So I do not remember that as a kid. I feel like I probably just never got there.
Yeah.
But like towards the end of the game, once you get the power bracelet, then you can move some boulders.
Yeah.
And that reveals some stairs, and when you go in them, then you can like fast travel to other stairs in the world. There's like three. Yeah, there's 4 locations.
There's 4 places. They're basically the corners of the map, I think.
Yeah,
it was really helpful. One's like right next to a fairy fountain. So it's perfect.
It's like they had it figured out from the start. It's like, okay, at this point in the game, people are no longer gonna want to like just run back and forth.
Yeah.
Like. I'm sure they just couldn't figure out a way to do it, but it's like, it would be nice to be like, okay, you're going, like, this stair goes to this one, because it's just 3 stairs.
Yeah, that I did. It's like, every time I had to constantly cycle
exactly.
That was annoying. But yeah, I mean, really, I expressed this exact same sentiment last time with Mario, but like, to think that they were making Excitebike and Devil World, and then Miyamoto made Mario, and that brought things to a whole other level, but then this is so much bigger. Like, it is insane the depth of this game compared to what was coming out literally like earlier that decade.
Earlier, like that year, probably.
Oh my God. Like, it is such a big game. And it's just so effective at feeling like a grand adventure. Like, if I had never played a Zelda game if I had played Mario Bros. And I was like, cool, what's this next one? This Zelda, the next Nintendo game. I would have lost my shit. I would have absolutely been obsessed with this game.
And I feel like, and going back to like the booklet a little bit, I feel like Miyamoto talked about in working on like the sequels and stuff, that like what he felt like was a failure in The Legend of Zelda was the fact that like, they were limited by the NES, and that like so much of it had to be in your imagination.
Yeah.
And like in the booklet, there's like, all these like pictures and stuff that paint like Hyrule as a much more like cool place, cool looking place. But like there's like 2 other like human characters characters basically. There's like the shop guy, the old guy, and the old lady.
Yeah.
There's only so many like different environment. There's like the tree, like the bush / tree, and grass. Yeah, there's
really very few like different.
But there's only so much they could do. Though I feel like in terms of like the number of enemies and stuff, that's like that's clearly where they spent a lot of their resources. It's like there's so many different types of enemies, and it's not. Yeah, okay, I was gonna say there aren't like just like color swapped ones, but there are. It's just like to show that they're harder.
Yeah, there's always the color variations, but I mean,
but there's still so many types.
If you think about Mario, where it's like the difference between a Goomba and a Koopa guy, Koopa Troopa, is pretty minute. Where it's like there's a shell. That's it. Yeah. But like the difference between those fucking ghosts.
You mean the ones in the graveyard?
No. I guess they're not ghosts. They're like mages or whatever.
Oh,
like
the Wiz Robes?
Is it Wiz Robes? Is that what they're called?
Those fuckers.
Wiz is the appropriate name. I have
Those are the worst.
I've never had such hatred for a set of pixels as that. My God. But like those compared to the floating mask guy or the Lionels, are like, it's such a difference in like.
Oh my, the Lionels? I like because obviously we played Breath of the Wild not that long ago. I did not know what those were from.
Yeah, I didn't.
I did not realize that those are from the first Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, kind of blew my mind.
Yeah, that blew my mind.
And also they function in the exact same way. Where I found the Lionels like before I'd beat the first dungeon.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, I shouldn't be here. These things are insane.
Yeah.
And it's exactly like when you find a Lionel in Breath of the Wild, and it just destroys you.
Yeah. I mean, a little different in the sense that like there are screens in this game where there's like 10 Lionels. Towards the end.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
My goodness, yeah. Yeah, do you want to just go over our experiences playing?
Sure, yeah. Because go ahead and talk about.
Well, I'm just gonna. So me and Devin, we have a Google Hangouts chat, and I'm just gonna read to you basically the chats between us between the playing of it, because I think we said all that we need to see. Said all that we need to say. I also just want to make the case here for Google Hangouts. It's on its last leg, arguably beyond its last leg. And I think it's great. I tried to react to one of your messages, like, on Facebook or whatever, you can react, and I couldn't do it. And I was like, oh, that's great. That's how you know this is good. It won't let you do that stupid thing.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I sent was Devin, and then in all caps, Devin, and then in all caps, Dodongo dislikes smoke. I just love that phrase. Devin, Dodongo dislikes smoke. And it's, this is the thing that I think Breath of the Wild should have brought back too, is these guys who just give you cryptic little hints. It's just amazing. It's, wow. This is a teaser.
Okay, yeah.
We're going to talk about the Outer Wilds at some point, hopefully. And it really reminded me of that, where it's like
really okay,
information-based, advancement, where the trick is there. You just need to know it's there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's like a big part of Zelda. Yeah, it's a little... Yeah, it's not there quite as much in Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about like Ocarina of Time, like you can't go into Ocarina of Time and just like tear stuff up, like just based off your knowledge of the game. It's like very much locked in what you can and can't do based on items. Whereas this, I mean, it's not quite the same, but if you know where
that was like
the final dungeon is, you can go and beat the game right away, just like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I feel like that was like a criticism almost of the game.
Oh, really?
Or something that they thought was not. I think, I'm sure they saw, like, I'm sure they did that on purpose of like letting you go anywhere.
Yeah.
And you can like go to the dungeons in their own order and stuff. But he definitely talked about like changing that for the next one, for the Super Nintendo one, to make it so that you couldn't like screw yourself over as much.
Yeah, I guess that it's funny because like that's a very novel idea to me, and I think it's so fun that you can do that. That's like what I love the most about any of these like kind of open world RPG games. But it does kind of make very little sense functionally, especially having zero precedent of what like an kind of I don't want to say RPG, but
it can clearly make you very angry.
Because
you'll get to later in this chat.
Well, not that much later. The next message I sent is a really cool design choice to not put a single heart in this whole dungeon. Because as it turns out...
Which dungeon were you doing?
As it turns out, I was doing dungeon 5. That was the first one I found. Or maybe 4. Yeah, it was 4. It was the first dungeon I found, and I found it very difficult.
Wow.
Because I had 3 hearts and the worst weapons and armor or whatever. Yeah. And it really made it harder than it needed to be for me.
Wait, so did you beat that dungeon?
Yeah.
With 3 hearts?
Yep.
That's insane.
I only by the grace of the rewind function.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
That's the only way I beat this whole game. I'm not going to lie to you for 1 second.
Yeah. I tried to play through it without the rewind function as much as I could, but yeah, like by like the last dungeon, I like was using it like every now and then, just because like, not even when I necessarily like needed it, but it's just like I just don't want to like have to run back to this place.
I think that I did that in the middle where I tried to really play it, but at the beginning when it was too hard, and then at the end when it's just so unnecessarily punishing, those last 2 dungeons, at least in my opinion.
Okay. Well, yeah, I didn't think 8 was that bad. I thought 6 was really hard.
If I'm thinking of the right one, then yeah.
I somehow did 7 before 6 and didn't even realize it. Because I messaged you, this will come up, about the tip is in the nose or whatever the old guy says in that dungeon. Because I thought that was funny. And so that was dungeon 7, and I thought I had just done dungeon 6, I guess. And you were, but then I found out this like the next dungeon I happened to run across was 6, and I was like, oh, and it was like so much harder than 7. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
I died so much on that dungeon, and I was like, what is going on here? And then that is the one that made me like go and like get enough money to buy the blue blue ring and stuff, because I was like, I can't do this. Like I was like, even with rewind, like this is hard. And I was also trying not to use it.
Is that the one with the whiz heads?
That's like the first place they show up.
Yeah, that's the one that I think that's the one that I maybe was messaging you about there, or it's the one where there was one where my comment about it being a bullet hell game came from this one dungeon where it's just there was like 10 of those guys on the screen, it felt like, and a bunch of those like statues you can't kill shooting the beams at you.
Oh my god, yes. And yes, there's a room where it's a bunch of those, and they're in all four corners are those statues shooting the bullets. Yeah, that is like one of the hardest rooms in the whole game, I think.
It was like a ballet. Like you had it was like
you have to just keep moving. Yeah.
It's just, and I would just rewind and especially because with those guys you can't use your wand, so you have to use a sword, and therefore it's like if you can keep full health, then it's infinitely easier to shoot them with the beams.
Yeah, it really is. Like I was thinking about that too, whereas like I feel like it's not balanced where it's like if you have full health you can destroy, and you can like stay far away and just like destroy dudes. As soon as you take any damage, you're just immediately going to take so much more.
Yeah, exactly. And especially because it's like getting up in there and jabbing them is so hard to do without getting hurt. Like
especially those guys, because they'll just like disappear and then like fly over to another direction. Though I realized in the last dungeon that those blue Wizrobe guys, you can attack them while they're like not fully opaque. I didn't realize that. I always just waited for them to like appear. And then I realized like, I can attack them while they're like doing that like move where they're just like sliding across the floor. I was like, that makes it way easier.
Yeah.
But still.
I honestly think I might have had a dream about those guys last night. That I was in one of those rooms. I feel like I remember that.
Okay, so after you did Dungeon 5, then did you go back and do the others in the right order, or was it
kinda? I did the first 4 first. I don't think I did them in the right order though. I did like 4, 2, 3, 1 or something. I did 1 was so easy, obviously.
Yeah. Didn't I tell you where 1 was?
You might have, yeah. Well, I kept on passing by 1. There was like an hour where I was looking for it and I couldn't find it, and then realized it was just right there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And then I at one point I hit a dungeon that I couldn't finish because I needed the step ladder to get across the water.
Yeah.
That was and then there was another one where it was just so impossible to not die that I just had to come back later.
Yeah.
But yeah, the dungeons were painful at times, but that's how I've always felt about Zelda games.
Yeah, I definitely enjoyed the overworld, and at least in this game. I feel like other games I enjoy the dungeons more, but in this one, yeah, the overworld is a lot more fun to go around.
One of the next messages that I say is, this is later, I look the next day, Dungeon 8 is like a Mario Maker level. Like one of the really like horrendous ones, where there's fireballs shooting everywhere and stuff.
Where you can see that it's like...
Yeah, like
1% of players have finished
1
this.
over 2,000 million.
Yeah.
That's what that whole dungeon felt like. And then there's fast travel in this game? And then I said, hate this game. Miyamoto is a sadistic prick. How many death threats do you think he got in 86? And then you say his wife proposed to him after playing it. Wife threat.
I was just making that up.
Oh, really?
I don't know anything about his...
I thought that was real.
No.
I was excited for you to tell that story.
No, I wish that was real. I was just trying to think of a response with that.
Thinking of responses can be difficult.
Think anyone ever has sent Miyamoto a death threat? I don't think so.
How could you? I mean, I could have this morning when I was finishing this game, but
that's what modern culture has done to you. You think that's okay?
But no, this game was phenomenal. I really, really enjoyed it.
Wow. Okay, I was worried that you were going to say you didn't like it.
It is
because honestly, I feel like my feelings are kind of like what I said before. Is like I really enjoyed the first half. And the second half, honestly, all the way through to Dungeon 8, I would say, is kind of when I stopped. When I was just playing it because okay, I have to finish this. Not like I'm enjoying this necessarily as much.
Yeah.
And also just because it's so much stuff. It's like, how would you figure this out?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of stuff I did figure out, and it's it feels great, but it's as far as did you look up where to places secret places to get money and stuff?
Kinda, yeah. I found a few I found a lot of things like that totally by accident.
Yeah, I did too, but it's it's not enough.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and some of them are just like, you put a bomb in the right place.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time just bombing random places
and
got literally nothing. I never found a cave that way. And I was just like, okay, like this would literally take hours to like actually find this stuff.
Especially, I mean, the overworld stuff. I really enjoyed it in the dungeons. In the dungeons, it felt like Hollow Knight, where I was just like kind of bombing stuff and hitting stuff, just like maybe, and then it would happen. And I'd be like, oh, that's so cool. But then in the overworld,
and in the dungeons, I feel like at least until like the end, when it is just like fucking anything goes, like like there's a million places you can bomb, and like any of these walls could be like. Early on, I feel like they will specifically have an enemy drop bombs, and okay, this room has a place I can bomb.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like that's what I feel like is missing from, and that like like that kind of design came in later Zeldas a bit more of like, okay, we're gonna like, this is a puzzle that you have to figure out, but like we're not just gonna like make you randomly bump around.
Yeah, we're gonna tell you it's a puzzle.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you don't have to. The first part of the puzzle isn't figuring out that it's a puzzle, as it is in this game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the location of Death Mountain, the final one, never could I have gotten that. And also,
there's a hint.
Yeah, but
what does it mean?
Yeah, it's the entrance find the entrance to death at Spectacle Rock.
Yeah.
Does not tell you what Spectacle Rock
does not mean anything.
Maybe that's in the manual, and that's how you would find that out? Okay, that's so fucked up. Yeah.
No, it's not.
It doesn't.
Yeah, and I don't know about that one in particular, but there are like some of those hints are different in Japanese.
Oh, interesting.
So there's like in the very first dungeon, there's the guy who says, the secret is at the eastmost peninsula. And literally, when you look that up, no one knows what that means, and it's not what he says in the Japanese version. He says, "Shooting arrows takes money."
That's an unnecessary hint, but that's so weird. No one has figured out what that's referencing.
I mean, there's different theories because there's like do you know the money making game?
Oh. The game that's very easy to cheat on with the rewind function.
Oh, I was like, what? Is there like a way you can figure out? I did not do that.
Wow. Make a lot of money really quick.
Wow. I should have just done that.
You should have. That's how I got the blue ring, because I was so fed
up.
Wow.
Okay. Wow. No, I looked up like secret coin places.
So much more work.
It is. Yeah. I didn't think of that. But there's a secret behind the Moneymaker game. There's like a square in the wall, not in like outside of it, but in that like screen, that if you just walk, it just keeps going. Like you walk through like the wall.
What?
And then there's another theory. There's like a couple other theories, but I don't remember what they are. But no one knows what it actually means. So Miyamoto directed it. Basically like the same team as Mario. Like,
makes sense, yeah. I mean, they were making it at the same time.
Making it at the same time, yeah. Miyamoto directed it. Takashi Tezuka was the co-designer.
Was he? That's his mentor, right?
No, that's like his protege.
Oh, okay.
That's like the guy who started with Devil World.
Oh yeah.
As like as like his like partner, his like design partner, and then like same with Mario, and then this. So he was in charge of like the story, is what it sounds like. I'm sure they like came up. I'm sure like Miyamoto like came up with like the concept and stuff with him, but like he was the one who like wrote that like intro story and stuff. Here, I'm gonna share some images with you. They drew the world map together, and Tezuka drew the left half of this image, and Miyamoto drew the right half, and you can see it's like taped together or something in the middle.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and they were like in the interview, they were talking about how like you can kind of tell their like difference in how they work, because like there's on Miyamoto's side, it's like a lot of like the walls and stuff are like just like a bunch of dots. It's kind of hard to see in this image, but it's like not just like shaded pencil or pen, and then it's like really like finely done. And then like
Interesting.
At a certain point, he like got tired of doing that.
If you want to look at this image along with us, go ahead and go on Twitter. We are on Twitter. We'll be tweeting these images at the release of this episode. At game. Say it with me. At Gameography Pod.
I'm sure that was enjoyable.
It was for me. Once again, I just love these hand-drawn pictures.
Yeah, I honestly like kind of stumbled upon this. It's honestly crazy. This is from interviews around the Legend of Zelda Spirit Tracks.
that's
for
funny.
Like the DS, I think.
Yeah,
is what that's for.
Which is supposed to be the sequel to Wind Waker on GameCube, but they put on DS.
Was it supposed to be on GameCube originally?
Yep.
Wow. No, that's crazy. This next image I'm sending is like one of the original, if not the original design, like documents that Miyamoto drew. It's kind of all over. Like it is hard to read.
That one's less neat than the other one. Yeah.
It's titled Adventure, Adventure, and there's a dragon on top.
That's cool.
With like one, I think that's supposed to be a dragon. I'm not really sure. And then there's like, you can see like a map for a dungeon with 1 floor, 2, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, fifth floor, and like kind of like arrows going between them and stuff. And yeah, I couldn't really read the handwriting on the rest of this, but this was like his earliest kind of like idea. So it's not like, seems like the dungeons were like part of the idea.
Yeah, which
right
makes
from
a
the
lot of
beginning.
sense.
Yeah. And then here is a drawing of all of the enemies that I think this is Miyamoto that drew this. And like it's like enemies and items and stuff, but they're all drawn by hand.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
In a grid, so that like you would see how many like pixels, I think, or like square like in the game, you know.
And a lot of these look like they did not make it into the game.
It seems like a lot of them did, but there are definitely some that didn't. Yeah, but there's ones if you look that show up in later Zelda games.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you see that like right in the middle, that like weird with like the big eyes, bird looking thing. I don't remember which game that's from, but that's in one of the Zelda games.
Really?
Yeah.
With the kind of squinty eyes?
Yeah, yeah.
That looks like something to be in a Zelda game, I guess.
I like this guy at like 3 and 4 and then 8, 9X. Did you see that guy that's like
mouth?
this?
Yeah.
Like what?
Open mouth, one arm up, one arm down. He looks like he's at a Kirby. I feel like there's a Kirby character that looks just like that.
I feel like, yeah.
I think there actually is. I think that might have literally been repurposed. Except he's not in the game, right?
Kirby? Or that guy?
Is Kirby in Zelda for NES? I love these.
Looks like Butterfree. Do you see that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I had that exact same thought.
And you can see Dodongo looks very similar to how he actually looks.
Also, you get Dodongo's. That's not the dinosaur, right? That you make
that is
bombs?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Dodongo hates smoke.
Well, no, there's the guy that you had to blow up, right? The dragon. That's Dodongo. Whereas there's the like bottom left. That's Dodongo.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
That's Dodongo.
Yeah. Well, they all kind of dislike smoke, apparently.
Wait, did you use the bombs on the dragon?
I think so, yeah.
You do not have to. You can just stab him.
Yeah, I guess I stabbed the next 10 dragons that I saw, but interesting.
Yeah, that's another thing with this game that I don't think is in any other Zelda game necessarily. That like old bosses will just show up in later dungeons.
Yeah.
And they're like also harder.
There was one, maybe 8 or 7, where I spent like 10 minutes fighting one of those bosses that were like not a real boss, and it was brutal and painful, and then I killed the real boss in 3 hits in 10 seconds.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think it's 6. That's a Goma. It's like the spider, like the crab spider kind of thing, with like that's eye closes and then opens.
Oh yeah.
That one is like famously easy because it literally takes 1 hit to kill it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And then that one shows up, I think, in 9.
Yeah, and it's not easy.
It is not easy. No,
there's one of those. That was one of the most painful parts of one. I think it was an 8. I love these hands.
Mm-hmm. The wall
that take you to the beginning of the dungeon. It made me so mad when it happened, but like I was kind of like I respected the pain.
And those guys show up in later games too.
Mm-hmm. And same with the guys, the round like guys that look like a sea urchin or something that suck you into them. You know?
Oh, the likes.
Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Are those what game are those in Ocarina?
Yeah.
Okay, because I honestly know them way more from Smash Melee. In Smash Melee, there's like the adventure mode where it becomes a Zelda 2 dungeon.
Wow.
With your Smash character, and they're in those, and you have to fight them.
That's crazy.
And the zombies too that hug you or freeze you or whatever.
Oh yeah, those are from Ocarina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was kind of what the mummies were. That's what that felt like a continuation of that, but they just didn't really do that thing.
Yeah. I feel like, what did you think of the like, did you ever get eaten by it?
Oh yeah. And then
did you lose your shield or did you rewind?
I rewound.
Yeah.
But
I rewound if I ever got gotten it.
Yeah, because that was a 9. I was like, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah, and it's like 150 gold or money to go buy another magic shield. Yeah.
They're called rupees, Devin. If you were a gamer, you'd know that. Yeah. Also known on the magic shield, I didn't get that until the very end. I think until Dungeon 9, and that's part of why those dungeons were.
Did you have the better sword?
Yeah, I had all the other better stuff like at the appropriate times, but the shield, I was waiting.
That's crazy.
I waited every dungeon to find the magic shield because I had seen that in the item list. And I realized the reason was because I saw it in the shop, and I thought it was like in every other Zelda game where they will just sell you the same shield for no reason. Like in Ocarina, Majora's Mask. I feel like so many of them, and I felt like such a rube when I realized that I could have made my life so much easier.
I think the reason they sell them in like Ocarina is because they can be eaten, or I think like even in Ocarina, like your wooden shield can burn.
Yeah.
So but anyway, I have also posted the final image. I have another one from like I think very early. This like gives me Breath of the Wild vibes kind of too, where like you can see the mountains in the distance.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
And there's like the entrance to a dungeon.
That's awesome.
And it says, God, what is that?
You must find number 1. Good luck.
You must find, I think, number 1.
Goodbye, see you.
But it looks really cool. I feel like this is like the game he wanted to make, and they were like, okay, this is what we can do.
No, but sorry, Miyamoto, this is a Famicom.
Yeah.
You have
but the technology was like a big part of it, because this was like the launch game for the Famicom disk system.
Oh yeah,
in Japan. So like the whole thing was that like they could have way more memory. And,
that makes sense.
And you could, I think, they had to change it in the American version, but you could save your game also more easily in that hardware, I believe.
Oh, really? Okay.
So like that, and then also the fact that it's like obviously a way bigger game than Mario, were kind of what that technology offered them.
Yeah. I remember you saying that when they were designing Mario, the people were freaking out because before making 3 little levels in Donkey Kong was what it meant to make a game, and then they're like, "This is too much to make Mario."
Yeah,
it's like, wow, what must this have been like for them?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it's still obviously like a huge feat, but they obviously had a lot more wiggle room in terms of like how much memory they had.
Of course, that changes it a lot.
And there's a story about that as well with this game. But so we've talked about it in previous episodes, but like the whole like game, like adventuring around the countryside and stuff is obviously based, and he's even said that's like based on his like childhood and stuff, like running around the countryside outside of Kyoto, traveling around without a map, and stumbling upon things and stuff.
I mean, this is a game meant for the kids that would get lost in forests.
Yeah, that's like the feeling he wanted to recreate.
Yeah.
And like, he said apparently he wanted to make a miniature garden that you can put into a drawer and revisit anytime you like.
What a poetic way to describe Zelda. Oh wow.
And he also said in a different interview, I wanted to create a game world that conveyed the same feeling you get when you're exploring a new city for the first time. How fun would it be, I thought, if I could make the player identify with the main character in the game and get completely lost and immersed in that world. And as far as like other media and stuff that he was influenced by, it's weird. He mentions Indiana Jones.
Okay. That makes sense.
And like other like 80s like kind of adventure movies being an influence.
I mean, actually, Indiana Jones makes a lot of sense with the things where you're pushing the blocks, all those classic Zelda puzzles are like very much out of an Indiana Jones movie.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. And then also like computer role-playing games that were like he would hear about other people playing them and like talking about like, oh, I got this like awesome sword and stuff. And that kind of, he was like, what if we could do that but on the NES and like obviously make it more of like an action game?
Yeah,
I think is kind of was his take on it, because that didn't really exist at the time.
Yeah, because those were more like text adventures, right? Those kinds of
probably
like kind of like more D&D type.
Definitely way more text based and probably like definitely like more D&D type. Yeah. And he says he was worried that because you start the game with literally nothing. Well, I guess you have your shield, but that's literally it.
Yeah.
And he was like worried that like that would be like too much, because like you have to like go and get your sword and then like figure out where to go and stuff.
I already forget. Do you find that sword on the very first screen in the cave?
You have to go into the cave.
Yeah.
But yes,
okay.
Like all you have to do is go into that cave. So if you don't go into the cave, then.
But that feels like the kind of Miyamoto design strategy of Mario, where it's like it's very clear that that's the first thing you'd want to do.
Yeah, for sure. Apparently, he wanted people to like have to talk to each other, maybe like find secrets.
Oh, and
then like have to tell like their friends or whatever.
That's cool. I mean, literally like how we were doing.
Yeah. And it says, I don't know if this is a quote. I think it's a quote from Miyamoto. It says, this concept turned into the root of another series to develop many years in the future. Zelda became the inspiration for something very different, Animal Crossing. This was a game based solely on communication. Yeah,
that's the clickbait title of this episode. The shocking game that inspired Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound like the same idea though.
Yeah, I don't know Animal Crossing well enough to.
You can't. I mean, it's like you're talking to the fake animals in the game.
Yeah,
like you're not. I feel like there's nothing you can tell someone about Animal Crossing that can help them really. I guess like keep on.
Yeah, maybe it's like
keep on getting bells.
Maybe it's related to like the talking, like those like secrets, like the old man's tips and stuff. Maybe it's related to that. I don't know. So the thing with the memory for this game is, so you notice that the dungeons all have like a specific shape.
Mm-hmm, yeah. I didn't realize until kind of like halfway through. Well, actually, I did notice with the swastika one. Mm-hmm. What was up with that?
That's just how they roll, I guess. No, but that's like a Buddhist symbol. And I was reading another article that obviously talked about that, and the swastika like that was used with Nazis is facing the other. Yeah, it's like facing the other direction. But obviously, you can get them confused.
Because I mean, I've obviously heard that. I know that it's not that Hitler didn't invent that symbol. Yeah. Let's talk about Hitler and
let's talk about
Nazis. Hitler. It is topical. But they co-opted that symbol, and there was another reference. Wasn't this in Devil World or something, where there was a swastika? I remember you saying again that it was a Buddhist thing. And wouldn't in the 80s, wouldn't that have still been associated with the Nazis in Japan?
Yeah, I
even
definitely
if it's also associated, like, did Hitler not ruin the swastika for Japan like it did for the rest of the world?
No, they definitely
kept on rolling.
They definitely, yeah, like you see it, yeah, definitely.
That's so crazy.
Because it's not associated with that, like to them.
Oh, that's so
really
weird.
Like.
I mean, I guess we didn't have any context for that symbol in the West, so.
But I did read multiple things of people being like, yeah, I'm surprised they didn't change it for like the U.S.
Yeah.
But apparently, like nobody like minded, I guess. So all of the dungeons are, and so they're all like based on there's like the lion and all these different like things that is like the shape of them. The last one's a skull.
An enormous skull. Yeah.
God, it's so much bigger than all the other dungeons. But so all of the, I don't know. I don't know if the skull is part of this, but all of the dungeons like interlock into a grid. Yeah.
What?
And that's how they're like stored in the game memory. And I guess Takashi Tezuka was like the one in charge of this, and he had worked it out and like drawn it out and stuff. And then he realized that he'd only used half of the memory.
How is that possible?
So he brought it to like the programmer, and the programmer said, like, there's only half here. Where did the other half go? And he goes, oh, I messed up. And then Miyamoto was like, oh, I know what we can do. We'll make a second half of the game. So once you beat the game, you'll get a second quest. And that's where that came from. Literally came from like making a mistake.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Gosh. And imagine making this game, considering how big of a feat that would have been at the time, and then being like, let's just do it again. Let's make a second one. Put it in there.
Yeah.
Are they like totally different dungeons?
I'm not sure. They're harder. I know that. Yeah. Obviously, neither of us played it.
Never intend on playing that.
Yeah.
Well, maybe one day.
Some of them are. I think they're like sort of they're like similar, but like definitely things are like swapped around. Like the items you'll get in the dungeons are like different.
Yeah,
I
mean, I
at
guess
different points and stuff for a lot of them.
It can only be so different.
Yeah.
When you have to use all the same like things.
Yeah. And like the locations for how you get to them are different.
Oh, really?
So like I don't remember, there's one of the dungeons that's where you get the blue ring, like you knock awaken the statue guy.
Yeah.
That's the entrance to one of the dungeons.
Oh, that's cool.
So there's like different places like
there's
that.
There's a lot of secret places. Maybe one of them. Can we also talk about the guy who you break down his door and then you walk in and he just charges you to repair the door?
Yeah, I've seen that. I didn't get that this playthrough though. I never found one of those.
That was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my whole life, I think. Just expecting to find some cool secret, and this guy's just like, okay, you're paying for my door repair because you just blew it up with a bomb. And I get that guy. I understand.
Yeah.
I would do
at the same time. Are you just living inside of pure rock?
That's another. Yeah, that is a good point. Why are you living inside of this cave? Or no, why are you living inside of a cliffside?
Yeah.
Behind a rock door? How do you get out?
Exactly. Like there's no door. It's just like flat rock.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the music?
Oh yeah. Well, so we all know this song.
Yeah, we talked about the most famous video game song last episode. This is probably number 2, I would guess.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean,
which is insane
to have made both of these songs at the same time. I mean, the Mario theme is such. I mean, musically, it's such an interesting, weird little song. And then it's just so catchy and fun and just so good. And this is such an amazing, epic little like fantasy tune that they put in this chiptune format. It's so great. But what many might not know, which, I mean, this actually feels like it's kind of common information. I feel like, I don't know, but I didn't know it until researching it just this week, that they originally intended, as in the older games, to use a public domain classical piece, Bolero by Maurice Ravel. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And so right away, you can hear some inspiration, some of that classic Kondo stealing. Did I tell you the quote last time where Kondo said, oh, what did he say?
No.
The only art, or no, this is a quote from David Bowie. There was a comment on one of the videos of the like stolen Mario songs.
Yeah.
The only art I'll ever study is stuff I can steal from. David Bowie said that.
Yeah.
So this is Bolero. It's a song. This was going to be the title
theme.
Yeah, the title theme.
So he had already written the overworld theme and all the other music.
And then he, after realizing at the last minute that this was just barely not within the public domain, like just a year away or two, they had to rearrange the thing, and he apparently pulled an all-nighter and rearranged it into the title screen, which I think, I mean, he didn't make that theme up, so it's not that impressive, but it's like that I think the arrangement for that is one of the best music out of anything we've seen.
Oh, yeah.
Especially...
Well, and it's like a variation or some whatever you call that on the overworld theme, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a different take on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I was very I was taken aback by the way that it loops so perfectly, and you have that awesome like intro, which I think is a new melody kind of.
Yeah.
And then that goes into the
I wonder, like, because obviously this is like a 9-minute song or whatever.
Yeah, at least.
I don't know how long it is, but like I wonder what they would have, like what part they would have used. Like would they just use the beginning?
Well, actually, that wouldn't have been as much of a problem as you might think. This song is famously very repetitive.
Yeah.
It's basically the same melody, I think, throughout, and of course the thing from the intro of the podcast.
So are you saying that they would just be able to like loop it and like build it without using more memory or something?
I just think they probably could have looped one of these melodies in the same way they do in the beginning.
Yeah.
With the theme. But so I listened to this song a little bit. I found the YouTube video, and there's a comment there that linked to a Radiolab episode about this song. And this is totally unrelated to Zelda. But so this song is a departure in what's his name?
Salerno? Is that
Ravel? The composer. He had been making way more complicated music before this and wasn't repetitive in this way. And this marked a change where he was on vacation and this melody came to him in his head and he couldn't stop repeating it in his head over and over again. And he eventually composed it.
I do know this. I have listened to that.
You've listened to that episode?
Yeah.
And
years ago,
they then, like, looking back now, they see in his notebooks, there's like things that he would write where he would like miscount, like 1, 2, 3, 3, 3, like just nonsense. And his music became more and more repetitive. And it turned out it was a symptom of frontotemporal dementia. And in the Radiolab, they talk about this painter named Anne Adams, who was just a scientist or something before. And then one day she decided she wanted to be a painter. And she painted maybe a series, I forget, or like something called Unraveled Bolero Unraveled. And she had the same condition where she had dementia and she was losing her mind and painting the same things over and over again. This is a song of madness.
Yeah, I mean, those songs are amazing. And I love the dungeon theme as well.
Yeah.
Like... That one didn't continue as much with like later games, but like that one's so good.
It really should be way more annoying than it is.
Exactly. Yeah, I was gonna say like it does start to like get on you, but for how long you play, like it really.
I mean, it didn't bother me really at any point. I just like it stopped being as fun, but.
Yeah, well, like there would be times where like I would pause the game and like just kind of leave the TV on and like be doing something else, and then it'd be like, okay, I'm just gonna turn the TV off. Like, okay, one other fun noise.
Oh, I love fun noise.
Sound effect fact is this is one of the bigger differences between the Japanese and English version, and you'll like people also might know that because the Famicom had a different, or maybe the Famicom Disk System had like a different sound, like processor or whatever it is. Like it sounds different, and like they had to like recreate it for the NES. So like that, like the title theme even sounds a little different. I feel like the like like that kind of drumming is more pronounced on the Japanese version even.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I gotta go listen to that.
But anyway, so in Zelda, do you know the like kind of bunny looking enemies that like jump around?
Oh, yeah.
Those guys suck. So this is really crazy. So the instruction manual, this is something that didn't get fixed when they translated it over. It says that that enemy hates loud noise. And so what would you think you're supposed to do?
Play the flute.
Yeah. So that's what a lot of people thought, and it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
So what that actually meant was in the Famicom disk system, there was the controllers were not like detachable; they were built in.
Oh, okay.
And the second controller had a microphone, and if you like yelled or blew into the microphone, it would kill those enemies.
Oh my goodness!
Truly insane.
The predecessor to WarioWare for the Nintendo DS.
Yeah, and like
that is so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's got to be one of the first times anything like that had been done, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it has to be.
Though I imagine there was other Japanese games because like it's so crazy that was a thing.
Yeah. Why would it be in the second one? Why would that be in there at all?
Yeah. Why would it be in there at all? That's the biggest question. Like, what were they thinking they would use that for? It's not like you could like have voice chat.
Yeah, it's for playing Zelda online with your friends. The one kid who found that out naturally must have been, that's a moment they'll never forget the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Where they just yell into the controller and all those horrible little bunnies die. Gosh. I know that it doesn't work on the Switch because I was absolutely yelling throughout the whole game, so.
I feel like we touched on this before, but like he's clearly, at least at this point, and really it seems like he never really like got over it.
I forgot we're talking about Miyamoto.
Yeah, Miyamoto. Like he's obsessed with like the like saving the princess motif.
Yeah,
it's like he made 2 games at the same time and was like, okay, I'll just do that for both.
Yeah.
Like I cannot think of another thing to do.
And you're also, I feel like I must have seen this in some YouTube comment years ago because I've always had this in mind. Mm-hmm. It's like, I feel like it's like the Oedipal complex or whatever.
Yeah.
Where it's like you're trying to rescue this princess from this horrible monster man.
Well, I think we brought this up at like in the
really?
When we talked about Donkey Kong. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing. It's not even like exactly Mario's not even the first game where that's the plot.
That's insane. Yeah, and he just does it over and over again. And also on that note, I think it is so rude that Zelda says, "Thanks, Link." Thanks? Do you know what I have been through, Zelda? My God.
Also, how does she know who he is? Like,
doesn't she scout him out with Impa? Tell Impa to scout him out?
Well, no, because based in that story, Impa is just looking for somebody.
Oh,
and he just happens to run across her.
Well, she's magical and psychic or whatever.
And so I was thinking about that, and I was like, it seems in that sense to be like very like a very unrelatable story. It's like how many people are, like, I mean, obviously, I guess in the fantasy sense of like rescuing a girl and stuff, but it's like nobody has
male fantasy.
Yeah, nobody has like experiences like that. You know what I mean? I guess that's just video games in general. Like,
I mean, honestly, I wonder. God, I might have said this, but it's like I feel like that's like the fantasy of the schoolboy nerd, right?
Yeah,
like a guy's.
Yeah, okay,
that's like
point.
So many movies and stuff too, where it's there's the pretty girl who like has a horrible boyfriend, and the quiet, timid young boy in a green cap wants to rescue her. It's Miyamoto-san.
Yeah. Okay, that's a really good point. Yeah.
I mean, for some reason, this clearly is like, I mean, it's the Oedipal complex. It's everything.
Well, and I don't think this information exists, but I wanted to find out like when he got married. Because I wonder.
That information doesn't exist?
I don't, like, obviously, like, who his wife is exists.
His wife does exist. Proposed to her after playing this game.
But I don't think that information, like, as far as when he got married, I don't think anybody knows. Oh, let's see.
This is unprecedented live research happening.
Control F wife. Yeah, I don't know. So, okay, in 2010, his son was 25. So that would mean he was born...
What, like 85?
So he would have been married at least at the time.
Let's
or
not assume, buddy.
Well, okay, yeah.
That playboy working long hours? I don't know.
But at least he was banging around that time. At least we know that. Yeah, and then I feel like another thing that we can tell he's obsessed with is like that same thing in Mario of like those the what are they called, the maze levels or whatever.
Oh yeah,
of just like
the horrible ones.
Yeah, just like obtuse, like weird like dungeony kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like he seems to like really like that.
Yeah, he likes to punish us.
Yeah. And I was thinking about, because when you would send me those messages about like Miyamoto being
a
like
sadistic
a
prick.
Sadistic prick, yeah.
Those are the exact words I used.
I was thinking about his other games, and I was thinking like, okay, you don't normally think that when you think about Miyamoto, but like if you think about the games where he is really involved in, that kind of is true. Like Mario's pretty hard, especially towards the end.
Yeah. This
game's pretty hard. They went like Mario 2: The Lost Levels is considered one of the hardest games ever made.
Mario 64.
Mario 64, like
only a true sadist would make that camera control system in 64.
I'd say that game I feel like that game is like a place where they started to figure out a balance where it's like there's stuff in that game that is so hard, but you don't necessarily need to do it to beat the game. But I was thinking also, like, if you look at the Super Nintendo, I think the only game he directed, Star Fox, that game's really hard. Like, as a kid, I never got past I don't think I ever got past the third level. And there's like 9 or something.
Nintendo was the From Software of their time, right?
I was gonna say, I feel like you can draw the line from Zelda to Dark Souls very easily.
Absolutely. The Miyazaki, the guy, he clearly played this game as a kid. He's like, oh, I love this feeling of agonizing pain and anxiety.
Though I feel like Dark Souls is like easier almost than this, because in Dark Souls, like, you can like, just like kill a bunch of guys, and like it might take a while, but then like level up. And there is like, you can obviously get better at like it skill wise, but you can also just like get higher stats.
Yeah,
I definitely think of him a little differently at this point.
He has a dark side to him.
He definitely does.
He's not as sweet and bubbly as he may seem in all his interviews. He wants to make you hurt a little bit.
Yeah, he obviously thinks that is like fun, because I also read an interview where they were talking about like the manual, and in the English version that they included that like map that shows you where like some of the dungeons are at the beginning. He's like, oh, okay, I remember what it is. So it comes with the map, and it comes like sealed, and it says don't open unless you like need it or something like that. Because it's way more fun to just like do it by yourself, and it's like, I know everyone opens it though.
I can't think of the last time that I loved a game as much as this, or the last time that I hated a game as much as this.
Yeah, honestly. We didn't even talk about that it's like basically the first game to have saving in it.
Oh yeah, that's definitely,
which is like, this game would not work without that.
Yeah.
So it was released in 1965.
1965?
What is wrong with you? I said 1995 before. Now 1965. It was released to highly positive reviews and was a bestseller, selling over 6.5 million copies. It was the first NES game to sell over 1 million copies.
Wow.
Also, a really cool thing about this game, for the NES at least, I don't know if it was like this in Japan, but so like the standard NES cartridge is like just like gray, and then it has like the sticker of like the game on it. The Zelda one is gold.
Mm-hmm. I heard about that.
Yeah, and it was just like
24 karat gold.
Pure gold. It was very heavy.
Extremely heavy.
But like, even as a kid, like, that was really cool. And
they did the same thing with Majora's Mask.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, as a kid, like, it was definitely one of my favorite games on the NES. As like far as all the games I had.
Jeez, I can't believe you played this as a child.
Yeah, I don't think I ever probably got past like the third or fourth dungeon as a kid.
I mean, isn't that how everyone was with like with early Zelda games?
Yeah.
I Majora's Mask, the aforementioned. I'm not going to bring my babysitter again, I promise. That was like my favorite game as a kid. I was obsessed with it, and I never even finished the first dungeon, I think.
Okay, that's kind of bad.
Yeah, well, that was, that's the kind of kid I was.
Yeah. But there's a couple of well, let's say the marketing for this game in the US was kind of crazy. We have a couple of the television ads that we can pull up, and we'll hear the audio here, but I do recommend looking them up yourself because just the visuals are kind of interesting too.
Once again, we will be linking to this on the Twitter. Let's say it together, Devin.
At Gameography Pod.
Get my hands on that game.
You mean you haven't played it yet? We can play it on my Nintendo Entertainment System. It's the Legend of Zelda, and it's really rad. Those creatures from Ganon are pretty bad. Octoroks, Tektites, Levers too. But with your help, our hero pulls through. Yeah, go Link. Yeah, get Zelda.
Awesome. So it's two like nerdy guys.
Two real Dorcas Majorcuses.
Yeah, just like this is like the 80s conception of what a nerd is. Is like exactly what they were like, this is what we need. And yeah, I mean, I feel like you heard the rest. The next one is even crazier.
Zelda! Octoroks!
Which way to go?
Good times! Peahens!
Levers!
Zelda! Zelda! Zelda!
Legend of Zelda.
So this is brunette Art Garfunkel dressed in all black in a dimly lit room.
Just yelling Zelda.
Mario!
Literally all the YouTube comments on that video are just like, how did this get made? Like, how is this their idea of how to sell this game?
I mean, as we've established, Nintendo's advertising department was just one weirdo, clearly. Like, just this whole era.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have a guy just yelling Zelda and then like flash
Zelda!
like crazy like stuff and weird sound effects that aren't from the game.
He's just imitating all the characters. The best part is him going Zelda, because that's what the game feels like, honestly. You're just Zelda.
Where does this leave Miyamoto, let's say?
Well, so this is a man
arguably at the pinnacle of his career.
He was banging, as you said before.
He was banging.
This is a virile man. He has just conquered the gaming industry. This is a man who had the chance to do what few people have ever done, where they have changed a medium.
Back to back, 2 times.
Just a double sucker punch of completely fucking up the whole form and like raising everyone's expectations and creating a whole new global industry. I mean, not creating, but revitalizing. Like, what does he feel like at the release of this game? Like he, demure little, Japanese businessman, soft little sweet boy Miyamoto. He's not rubbing it in anyone's face unless you're in a dungeon. If you're in his personal dungeon. But this is a man who must know what he's done.
Yeah, I guess like I said, he said he was like nervous that it wasn't going to be success, or like people were not gonna like how challenging, and how different it was. But yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like it must have been crazy to work at Nintendo at the time because Mario would have been blowing up at the time. Like that probably around the time that this got released. I feel like this is when like they went from like a moderately successful company to being like just like we're just gonna take over the world. That's probably how they felt. Like
I mean, like, and imagine dealing with all the like crazy hype around Mario, and maybe like the people who were less humble than Miyamoto, or less close and could see it, knowing what they had in their back pocket. Like, my God. And I mean, it's in one fail swoop, they put out these 2 games that have essentially pushed Nintendo, or like carried Nintendo for decades and decades
till today.
Yeah, like still, it's like Nintendo
and are still like both of those games are still in the like when people put lists of like the best games ever made, there's still both of those games are there.
And they're still making games in those franchises that people adore and buy millions and millions of.
Yeah,
I mean, Breath of the Wild. It's like,
I mean, I guess going back to the whole like nerd fantasy of like saving a lady from like a guy that seems mean or whatever. I am excited for the possibility, because we don't know really anything about it, but of Breath of the Wild 2 being a change from that, because like even to Breath of the Wild, like that's still been the formula.
Yeah, it is insane.
Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously Majora's Mask, there's no Zelda even.
Yeah. And there's, those, there are the examples of like kind of changing it up, but it's still like,
Breath of the Wild was like noted for like making Zelda more of a character, but instead like making her like more like less passive and stuff. But even so, like she still is barely in it.
Yeah, she doesn't really do much.
Yeah. So like
I mean, like, this is obviously totally speculative, but people saying that you might be able to play as Zelda in the second Breath of the Wild, like, I mean, I was thinking that earlier when you reminded me that she has these magical powers. Like, it's like, how is this crazy character like not ever been playable or like interactive in the world in any way?
Yeah, it's like, it's well past time that they should have like had Zelda like the female like main character. Be more
the titular character.
Exactly.
And also they made a game where you play as Peach. There's like a Peach game on the 3DS or something. Yeah. It's like, how does no one even come close to doing that with Zelda?
Yeah. Maybe they saw how that went.
Yeah.
She's playable in Mario 2.
There you go, ba-bam.
Ba-bam.
Deal with it.
Which we'll be covering.
Oh, can't wait.
In either our next episode or the episode after that.
Do I have to play the Lost Levels? I don't want to play that. I'll just let you talk about that.
Give it... we'll get into it after. We'll get into it. But play.
Let's talk off pod about this.
Yeah, play. Just play a few minutes of it. You don't have to like beat it.
We'll talk off.
Just play a few minutes of it. But then, like Tim said, we're also going to be talking about the Outer Wilds coming up either in the next couple of episodes. We'll see. So if you're trying to play along with this,
who is playing? I mean, yeah, you really should. Should that be a thing now? Should we tell? I mean, is anyone listening to this?
If you're out there.
Just
buy a Switch.
And also another thing to play Outer Wilds on. Is there anything else? Can we stop?
Let's get out of here.
Go
grab a bite.
Let's go grab a bite in my kitchen.
Thank you for listening. Like we said probably a billion times in this episode, you can follow us on Twitter
at Gameography Pod.
Okay, we're not doing this for other episodes.
I hope we never do that again.
I imagine it's like worse even to hear than to do.
It's bad to do.
Yeah.
Are we gonna make a Instagram?
No. Tim, we've already talked about this.
We're gonna make a Snapchat?
Tim.
Let's make a Parler account. Oh wait.
Oh snap.
Cancel culture.
Let's make a TikTok for Gameography.
Can you upload hour-and-a-half long TikToks?
Let's make a WeChat. Gameography brought to you by the Chinese government. Okay, well, thanks for listening. Bye-bye.